Hi everybody, my name's Kim and welcome back to Bookmarks and Breadsticks. Welcome back to Bookmarks and Breadsticks. I am here to talk about the controversy surrounding Richard Montanez's most recent memoir, Flamin' and his journey from janitor to top executive at Frito Lay. First off, there's been a lot of controversy around Frito Lay with their working staff in the United States on strike. Those workers have been forced to work 12-hour shifts, lots of 6 to 7 day weeks with very little breaks in between. First and foremost, that's a really stressful environment to be in. I work in consumer product goods. I will not pretend that I'm shocked by those ridiculous kinds of hours. And I'm not justifying what Frito Lay is doing, but to give you context, there is something called demand, and you make commitments to your retailers to supply a certain amount of inventory, and the more and more you short a customer, like you say Walmart wants 1 million cases and you only bring them 750,000, what happens is that you can lose accounts and you start to lose a lot of money. Now, that's all capitalism. I am still very pro taking care of your employees, because I am an employee that is feeling burnout. I work in, do you know how hard it is? It's been difficult to even keep up demand on ice cream. And we're coming into the fall, and I recognize both sides of it. I've been a worker. I'm obviously not a factory worker. I'm not one of the frontline employees, but I do understand how burnt out people feel. I feel burnt out. I feel stressed. I'm frustrated. But part of it is also understand that the demand comes from the consumer. So are you going to be okay the next time you go to the grocery store and you can't find your favorite chips? Frito Lay is a huge company. They own a lot of different types of chips. And when those grocery shelves start to become empty and you start to complain to your grocery store, understand that that's the demand that creates these outrageous work hours. That is what capitalism does. So again, I'm not justifying what Frito Lay is doing. I'm saying I understand the situation because I see my own company dealing with the same thing. There are not enough people to fill the lines to keep our manufacturing lines running at the capacity they need to fulfill demand in the market. So we are losing out on revenue. And you as a consumer are not seeing as much ice cream on the shelves right now. And part of that is because, I don't know, we're in the middle of a pandemic and 700,000 people have died in the United States. And a lot of those are frontline workers who don't want to go back. Like people who are on unemployment don't want to go back, and I don't really blame them. And now you're seeing manufacturers offering $17 an hour, $18 an hour because people won't come fill these roles. So just understand, first off, I'm pro Frito Lay's strike, the worker strike. I think it's a great thing that we need unions. We need to protect our people. These frontline workers are the ones that are being treated like garbage, and they are the ones that are feeding people. But just understand that there's a lot of complexities that go on there. Do I think a CEO who makes $300+ million deserve that? No, freaking give it to the people beneath you. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm more trying to explain supply and demand and what I'm experiencing as someone who works in consumer product goods. But back to Richard Montanez and his role as the creator of Flamin' Hot Cheetos. There has been a lot of controversy that Richard Montanez is not the actual founder or creator of Flamin' Hot Cheetos. Frito Lay and many past employees say that there's no real record and that he's fabricated some of these meetings. The LA Times did a huge story about this. And I think part of the reason that this has come to light is that, one, Richard Montanez is now a public speaker, an inspirational speaker. He's making money off of a story that, two, Frito Lay really wasn't paying attention to until, three, Eva Longoria bought the rights to his life story to make into a movie. Now it's getting like this Hollywood lens, and people over at Frito Lay, the lower employees, raised the flag, and then Frito Lay executives went, wait, what is he doing? What is he doing? I mean, it doesn't help that a lot of the people that Richard Montanez worked with and moved up the ranks with no longer work at Frito Lay. In general, consumer product goods, you're not going to see a lot of people in this generation anymore who are going to work there for 25+ years. I don't know, there's a whole other conversation about why millennials don't stay in roles as long as the generations before us, but probably it's because we're treated like shit. So I'm not going to go into that part of it. So part of what in Richard Montanez's book, he says he comes up with the idea because he looked at a corn street vendor and thought about how that corn was an elote kind of meal with spices, and he does his own R&D work at home, just kind of prototyping, testing it on his family, and brings it to work. Frito Lay gives credit to Montanez's impact and role in it. So Frito Lay recently is basically saying he's not the only person who worked on Flaming Hot, but he did play an important role. So a lot of people think, well, that's bullshit. They just don't want to deal with the politics. Here's the thing. One of the biggest arguments is there's no paperwork that shows Richard Montanez created this item. It doesn't really work that way in consumer product goods. I am someone who handles the 2 to 3 year pipeline of an entire brand. I do concept testing on different flavors. Those flavors are vetted by R&D before they even go to testing. So maybe I want to make marshmallow confetti explosion ice cream. My R&D team might say, hey, we don't have a manufacturing line that can handle marshmallows because they become like rocks when they're cold. So that item gets taken off the list. And then those ideas that are still there, that are vetted by R&D, go through consumer testing. They get ranked on a score. Then we try and develop them. And I work with a cross-functional team full of brilliantly talented developers, manufacturing, supply chain, packaging. Creating products is a collaborative experience. There is no one person that does it all. Maybe in a startup environment, but not at a large consumer product goods kind of organization where I work. And there are products that I've released that I am extremely proud of. And I like to say, it's my baby, and I'm very proud of it. But it is not mine. I do not have trademark or copyright of that item. What happens when you sign on to work at a consumer product good is a CPG company is that any idea you have on the clock belongs to that company. So there are definitely products that I think were my ideas that I pitched, but I wouldn't have them in the market if it wasn't for the brilliant cross-functional teams I have worked with. I've been in consumer product goods for over 5 years now. I have launched plant milks, I have worked on ice cream, I have worked on snacks, salty snacks like Planters snack nuts, nutrition snack nuts. I have worked on unique packaging refreshes, but it gets to go on my resume, but it doesn't say this was only Kim Bizzotti. So I'm sitting here right now with what information I have, which is not first-hand material. It's LA Times, it's tons of news articles, it's reading the book, it's having experience within consumer product goods. I could say that Richard Montanez probably did have a role in creating Flaming Hot. He probably was someone who he probably was truthful that he did a lot of development on his own at home and brought the idea to the office. How many of those big meetings happened? I don't know. Do I also believe the R&D scientists and other sales team members who also said, hey, I was working on this in a different market? I also believe that happens because I work in brand marketing and I might approach a product in a certain way, but an alternative channel salesperson who tries to sell to 7-Eleven might hear from 7-Eleven, I need this product in this format. And then somehow the two of us meet up and we go, wow, we have the same idea. Let's combine this project. That happens all the time. It really does. And that's why I'm trying to say I respect and believe the R&D team and the sales team that said, I was working on this first. I also believe Richard Montanez when he said, I had this idea and I championed it and I brought it forward. A lot of that stuff happens at the same time because consumer product goods, especially at large conglomerates, people tend to work in silos and it's just serendipitous when they tend to click and smash together. I've had ideas for Halo Top that I have loved. I've done my own research, my own category analysis, my own sales trends, and it gets tabled, and then months later, our innovation team might have the very same idea but come at it from a completely different angle, and it gets greenlit over there to go into concept development, let's say. That doesn't mean my idea didn't matter or that they stole it from me. It just means that sometimes the way you approach pitching new products, sometimes your story doesn't click the way somebody else's story does. And that doesn't mean that either team didn't work hard to bring that idea forward and get it into the market. Again, I'm not an expert. I'm a senior associate brand manager. I am not a C-suite executive. I'm not. This is just my experience. And sitting here and listening to people say he didn't do anything and other people saying he did everything, I'm not surprised that Frito Lay doesn't have a paper trail because it's not really like that. We do all of our projects, we have a project management folder, and once a product launches, that project gets archived and sits somewhere. And all it's gonna say about Kim is that she was the brand lead on a list, a roster of 15 to 25 people that worked on that product. Nowhere does it say Kim Bazzotti came up with the idea for this specific flavor and this specific product and this specific line extension in this year. It just doesn't work that way. We have way too much to do. We're moving a mile a minute, and we're looking at next year's line extensions and this year's performance and 5 years from now, trying to figure out industry trends. Also, caveat, we're in the middle of a pandemic, so everyone's shopping habits have changed completely. Obviously, what Richard Montanez created and what Frito Lay created is from years ago, so some of the things I'm mentioning about COVID and consumer habits are really not there right now. Were not applicable to back then, excuse me. But all in all, I recommend people read Montanez's book and read the LA Times article and come to your own conclusion. This is just an opinion of someone who works in this space day in, day out, 5 years in now. I'm not saying I'm the only one who's right. I could be entirely wrong. I wasn't in those meetings. I wasn't at Frito Lay. I have never worked with Frito Lay. These are just my opinions. But what I'm trying to convey is that there's many different ways to approach developing new products. And sometimes things just happen because somebody does open their mouth and somebody buys into an idea and then it takes off. But what I'm also saying is that Richard Montanez is not the only person who worked on that product. There was a whole team down to manufacturing, packaging, distribution, sales, test markets, couponing, shopper marketing, e-commerce marketing, digital marketing, brand marketing, like flavor development, packaging development. There is a whole team that works on these products. So that's my opinion around the controversy. I hope this doesn't sound like a wishy-washy answer. What I'm saying is it takes more than one, it takes a village to build a new product. Do I think Montanez was part of that village? I do. I do think he was part of it, but part of it. I think he also was a smart man in the sense that he capitalized on a story he knew was marketable. Janitor becoming an executive, a big idea that changed his life. Did he, this is his true story. I mean, he did, in the sense that he did start as a janitor, fact. He did become an executive one day, fact. He brought his family from rags to riches, also fact. How he got there, some of it's a little wishy-washy, but I think he capitalized on an opportunity where he said, this is a story that people will resonate with, it will make money, it is motivating. And he built an entire identity out of it and his own business model out of it. And only when it got to the point where Eva Longoria bought the rights to make the movie did Frito Lay really pay attention. And if they had had an issue with it, that's stuff that you put in your contracts. I can't go around and show you what I'm developing in the next 5 years because I signed a confidentiality agreement. Like, those are agreements that you sign when you get hired. So part of it is Richard Montanez capitalized on a vague time 20 plus years ago. It was just a different world back then. I could keep going back and forth and just giving you more and more of my thoughts on this, but I would love to have a discussion with you guys down in the comments below. And on your way down there, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Personally, I don't even like Flaming Hot Cheetos. I don't get the appeal, but I would love to see how you guys think. If there's anyone else who works in consumer product goods, let me know down below. I'll see you in the next one. I post new content every Tuesday and Saturday. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. And thank you so much for helping me hit 600 subscribers in September. My goal by May of next year, which is my second year booktube anniversary, is hopefully to hit that 1,000. But I know I'm a niche channel. I love to talk about food. A little bit of fiction's coming in here too. I hope you're excited. Talk to you soon. Bye.